Well, hello there, everyone. This is Zach with a simple question. QR codes, what are they and how do you use them? That's coming up next. Well, good afternoon or morning or even evening, wherever this video might find you. Thanks for tuning in. The QR code is just a link for phones. Okay, we all know what these blue lines mean when we read a text document. That's a link. Well, QR codes are kind of the exact same thing, only in picture format. Like you see here, you use your phone, you scan the image, it pops up a link, you click the button, and it takes you right to that website on your phone. Now, almost all smartphone cameras can now read them. You don't even need to download any fancy QR code readers or anything like that. Just open up the camera app on your phone, point it at the QR code, and something is probably going to happen. Okay, so how are these things being used right now? Well, in the mainstream world, they are everywhere. If you haven't seen them around, I would be shocked. You can find them on all sorts of things, particularly advertising. People are starting to put them on their business cards now so they can link to a short little presentation about themselves, their job skills, their company, whatever. You find them in the grocery store now as coupons. Maybe there's community resources. Like, I'm not sure what these signs are pointing to here, but that's out in the community somewhere, if there's an event or a concert or something like that. Just all sorts of stuff. Well, why is that important for us? Well, obviously because it's used and recognized right now out in the real world, has been for the last 10 years or more. So we're bringing a real world resource into our classroom that parents and even in this day and age students are already familiar with. So what are some potential educational uses for this? I did a quick Google search for this, which if you want a lot of information, I would recommend just Googling, QR code educational ideas or something like that. I found tons and tons of information, but here's just a few that caught my eye. Restroom passes. How many of you have a school that wants to know when kids were in the restroom, how long they were there, etc., 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 right? Well, what if you created a Google form that was a restroom pass? The kids put in their name. It's going to automatically timestamp it so you know when they're leaving. And you're going to have this sheet that has all of this information. Now when a principal or someone comes down and says, hey, was Johnny in the bathroom during this time? You can go and look at your form results and say, oh yeah, he filled out the restroom pass at this time. Now this obviously works for any form that you might want to collect information from. I've used this for things like selling school-related merch. Like, we ran basically a virtual online store where people ordered hoodies and t-shirts and hats. I've used it to sell tickets for fundraisers. Like, just all sorts of things are possible when you link a form with the QR code thing so people can get to it quick and easy. Virtual tours. This picture of the green background there is actually from a zoo, which I thought was an absolutely awesome idea. They call it a virtual zookeeper. And so basically what happens is when you get to an exhibit with an animal, you scan the QR code and you're going to hear that zookeeper tell you about the animal, where it's from, etc. This idea could be used so many places in education, in outdoor schools, in garden schools, in field trips, scavenger hunts, just all sorts of fun potential there. Create ebooks. Now, this picture down here kind of on the edge, you'll notice if you look close, these are lots of smaller books like The Hungry Caterpillar and some other common titles there. Well, sometimes kids struggle with reading. Sometimes kids have language issues, right? It's not always quick and easy to find an ebook for these resources. Well, what if you made them yourself? Do your own screencasting of you reading the book, get that file published online somewhere, and then create the QR code. Now a kid can go grab that book, bring a device, a phone or an iPad or something like that, come over, scan the QR code, and sit down and follow along while somebody reads that book to them. Such a great idea. Interactive print tools. This periodic table of videos is just such a profound idea. I didn't have time to dive into it deeply, but my assumption is simply this. If you scan on any one of those elements, it's going to take you to a full informational page with all sorts of videos and examples and other stuff about those resources, which this is a perfect example of taking a static print resource and turning it into some sort of a digital interactive tool. Now, you could do this with parent resources as well by adding QR codes to your letters home, meet the teacher, etc., 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 by just putting QR codes on the stuff that you send home with your kids. Almost everyone has a smartphone these days, so your parents will be able to find the resources, find the videos that you create for them, whatever those resources might be, just by scanning your printed out sheet with their phone. Just so amazing. So there are literally hundreds of potential uses here. I have just barely scratched the surface with a few ideas that I found, but get creative and start thinking about ways that you can link things, physical things, pieces of paper, parts of buildings, parts of the playground, all sorts of stuff has the potential to have a QR code added to it that makes that thing even more useful and dynamic than it is on its own. Okay, well, if you want to make your own, it's really not that hard. All you have to do is go to, there's more than one. This is the one that I use. Go to qrcode.kaiwa.com. You paste in your link, and that can be any link, the link that you created by creating a video or a website or something, or just a link to a resource that you find. Then you simply change the type from dynamic to static, which is a little button you click down here on the bottom. You use Awesome Screenshot to capture that image after it's done, because sometimes they let you download the picture and sometimes they don't. If they don't, just screen capture it using Awesome Screenshot or something like that, and then you're done. You now have a image file that is a link. You can print it, you can insert it into other documents, onto your websites, around your school, on posters, all over the place, and share your QR code with the world. Okay, my challenge to you is simple, folks. It's not that hard to do, so go ahead and make a QR code, share it with your students or parents, see how it goes, and then come back and share your ideas in the comments below for this video about how you might be able to use this resource with your students in your classroom setting. Thanks for watching, guys. That's all for this one. Remember, technology is just a tool. We're here to help you use it. We'll see you next time.